the Arch Gaming Network is proud to bring you this board game review. Now here's your host, Sean Smith.
Hello, and thank you for stopping by. Today we're taking a look at the pirate-themed game World of Yoho: War of the Orchids, which was published by Yellow Games. Now, in this game, it's different than just about any other board game you play in that you're going to use a board along with your cell phone or smartphone to play this game. Your phone becomes the ship, your ship in the game. In World of Yoho, you're going to pick your pirate, pick your ship, and then you're going to set sail for various ports, trying to complete missions. Maybe you're going to fight a monster along the way, find treasure, and even attack other ships. In World of Yoho, you're going to be moving around the seas, these series of grids, and you're going to primarily trying to complete missions. These missions will give you victory points for the end of the game. Of course, there are other ways to get points as well, based on some of the things I mentioned that you could do earlier. The game also has some variable powers for both your pirate and your ship. So why don't you just come aboard? Let's take a look at the setup and walkthrough, and then I'll give you my thoughts about the game on the other side. Okay, the setup for this game is going to be a little bit different than, how we set up for most other games, because really the only thing that you are needing is your cell phone with the World of Yoho app and the game board. You have these optional ship cards, and they give you the stats for the 4 different ships that are in the game. You also have your pirate cards, and these give you the stats for the pirates. But again, they're all in the app as well. And then these little stickies here, these are intended to be put onto your phone. That signifies which ship and which captain you have. To me, they just tend to get in the way, so away they go. And then these here, these are the various ships in the game. And then you also have some captains. So whenever you've picked your ship and your captain, you would put those on here and put them on the board. Now, these are only needed if you are playing with just one phone, which I highly advise you not to do. You should play with multiple phones, but if not, you can use those tokens because you'll be passing the one phone around, and this will signify where you are on this map. So let's clear those away. Woo! Now you do have this, massive game board, and the game board is broken up into different sections, okay? And if, for example, if we take a close look in, each one is signified by a letter and a number. So they are arranged in a grid that conveniently fits into about the size of your cell phone. Now, in addition, you have this right here is a port, and you have various ports on the islands, on the different islands in the game. Now, in World of Yoho, your phone acts like the pirate ship, and you're going to be moving your pirate ship along the board here, and you're going to be either trying to complete missions, maybe attacking other ships, or trying to find goods somewhere out in the vast seas here. Okay, since the majority of the game really does take place within the app, let's go ahead and take a closer look at it. So once you fire it up, you're going to be presented with some options here. We're going to go ahead and hit play. We're going to choose a new game here, and you're going to hear me say this until I'm blue in the face. I highly recommend multi-phone, but for this tutorial, We're going to do a single device. We're going to have 2 players. You can change your name if you want. We'll go with AGN. You can set it to whatever you want. Then you're going to select whether you want a standard, teams, or narrative. We're just going to cover a standard game mode, and then the number of points. We're just going to do a 400. Then you can decide whether or not you want the tutorial mode on or not. Once you're ready, you're going to hit the ready button. Now, the app will go ahead and decide who is going to pick first. And turn up the volume just a little bit here. Now, the first thing you do is choose a captain. Now, each captain has his strengths and weaknesses, and each one has these variable stats. Now, you can click on each one and see what those stats are. Or you can use these cards as a reference as well. Strength is a stat that will be added during combat to the combat score. So the higher strength you have, the more likely it is you will win a combat with another ship or a sea monster. You have charisma. The higher that is, the less things will cost when you go to port to buy items. And then know-how is the number of equipment items your captain can have, and it can also determine the quality of the repairs you do at sea. Now, just know that each captain has a negative effect. So the parrot here, he can't keep his beak shut. He'll always need to brag and cannot leave a harbor incognito. Now, we're not going to get into leaving incognito quite yet, but you know, you can either choose it or go back and choose a walrus. The walrus, there are his stats. His is that he gets tired, so you have to stop and rest him, or you'll end up losing a turn. The shark, when a shark moves, if he can attack someone, meaning if he is next to or adjacent to another ship, he must attack them. And then the pelican isn't allowed to equip some captain items, and those are items that you can pick up at sea. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the shark and choose. Now, the next player will then get to choose his captain. Let's say he's going to choose the parrot. Now, in reverse orders, so starting with player 2, now the player 2 will get to choose a ship first. Again, each ship has its specific stats. So the size of the ship determines how much equipment that ship can hold. The resistance of a ship is how much damage it can take. And then the upgrade number is how many upgrades that this particular ship can hold. Now, unlike the pirates, the ships have a positive effect. So this whale here, when attacked, can change the flag before the start of a fight. And again, we haven't talked about changing the flags on a ship, but that when you change the flag on your ship, that will determine how many items you take when you fight another ship. So the jellyfish, when he's attacked or his ship is attacked, the damage is reduced by 1. The turtle is allowed to walk across small islands instead of going around. So, for example, we have this island here. All right, if your ship was here and you wanted to get to the other side, you have to move around. The turtle allows you to walk across that island. And then finally, the swordfish inflicts damage when boarding an enemy. So, let's say it's going to choose this one, and I'm going to go ahead and choose the swordfish. Now, once both people have completed their pirate and ship selection, you now get to decide where you want to start on the board. Now, this can be helpful depending on your position sitting at the table. So you have this large board here, and you can determine where you want to start. So, for example, so maybe my player, in relationship to where I'm sitting at the board, maybe I want to start down here in the lower right-hand corner. and maybe player 2 is going to sit at the lower left-hand corner of the board. So you can choose where to begin, what port you want to begin at. Once both players have determined their starting position, meaning that I'll be beginning at Spleet, and the other one will be starting at Kanoya here. Sorry, that's hard to see. Then you'll go ahead and click Ready. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn the sound down, although I really do like the sound effects in this game. Okay, as you can see, we're on to player 2 here, and we're starting at Kanoya. So as you can see, there's the game board. You place it down and see how that matches up really nice. Now, normally if you're playing with multiple phones, instead of going to this screen, you would go to a screen where you would pick your missions. After that, you would go ahead and pick the items that you want to equip in your ship. But since we're using a single mode, this is the way that they do it. So to pick your starting missions and to get your starting equipment on your boat, we're going to have to go to this port here. So we're going to go ahead and enter the port. Now, when you go to port, you're presented with several options that you can do. The first thing you can do is go to the tavern, and you can see what place everyone is in. Well, it's the start of the game, of a 400-point game, and so nobody's in the lead, 0-0. All right, you can back out. You can go to the shipyard, and you can pay clams to repair your ship back to full health. This ship can go to 20. You can also go to the market, and here's where you're going to outfit your ship. You can click on one and it'll give you some information about it and ask you if you want to buy. I'm going to buy 1 cannonball. I'm going to buy 1 chained cannonball. Costs me 30 and 12. If you look down here, this is how many clams you have. Now, all players will start with 150 clams, and that is the money in the game. This shows you your ship health, and this shows you how many victory points you have to get to the 400. This is a reminder of which captain you have. This is where you can review any missions you have. This would also show you what you have on your ship. So I think I'm going to go with another cannonball. So I think that's all I'm going to spend. So I'm going to go ahead and back out. Now I'm going to go to the barracks. Now from here, this is where you can choose the missions that you're going to complete. The missions, when you complete them, are worth like this one is worth 90. If we click on it, it is worth 90 and gives you 180 clams when you complete it. It gives you a little bit of a backstory of what it is, and then if you want to accept it, you can go ahead and click accept. I usually accept all 3 starting missions, but what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look at this, and this says go to Tartaros, and drink more than the demons to defeat him. So basically, what the important thing that is telling you is that on this board, you're going to have to find Tartaros, which is right over here. And when you go to that port, then you're probably you'll complete that mission and gain the 65 victory points and the 130 clams. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and accept them all. Now you can only hold 3 missions at a time, and make sure that you do want to complete them, because if at any time you've decided that you want to abort a mission, it's going to cost you 20 swag, or basically 20 clams, to abort that particular mission. All right, once you have chosen your missions, outfitted your ship, you can go ahead and exit. Now it's going to ask you, whenever you leave a port, do you want to exit or exit incognito? Now the option to leave incognito is grayed out for the parrot, because his disability is that he can never leave a port incognito. When you leave a port and you pay that incognito fee, if another player goes to that port, they're not going to be able to see what you've bought or what missions you've chosen to complete. But since he cannot do that, he's just going to exit, You place that back on the board. There are arrows on each side of, well, there's no arrow here, but there are an arrow here. So when you click on it, it will have you move to that place, okay? Now it says to give the phone to the AGN player. This is where you would take your ship and place it on the board so that you know where you are. Let's now move on over to Spleet and look at the AGN player. All right, as you can see, AGN is starting at Spleet. And once again, it matches up nicely. Now, at this point, I don't have any missions. I don't have anything on my ship. So I'm going to go ahead and go to port. All right. I don't need to go to the tavern or do any repairs. I'm going to go ahead and buy some weapons. I'm going to buy a grapnel because I am planning to board the other ship and then use these swords, a melee item, to attack. All right, there's nothing else to choose. I don't think I'm going to buy anything else. And so I will now go to the barracks. Again, I'm just going to accept all 3 missions. And now I will go ahead and exit. I'm given the option if I want to exit for 20 clams. I'm not going to pay that. And now I can put my phone back on the board. Now, at this point, I would look at my missions to decide where I want to go. So obviously I didn't really take much time to look at them. I'm just going to go ahead and move around the board. By doing that, I'm going to tap this arrow. That moves me over to here, and my turn is over, and now it's time for player 2. Okay, so now that both players have their missions and have outfitted their ship, they are now able to really get into the meat of the game. Now, on your turn, you have 2 actions that you can take. You can either move, you can attack another player, you can perform a repair at sea, you can perform a specific action depending on a mission or an event, or you can visit a port. And again, on a single phone, you'll need to press that, so now you can go through here. And if you wanted to see what you have equipped on your boat, you could review your missions. You can do that here. All right. Now I know that I need to get to Tartaros.
What?
So I'm going to go ahead and move over here and move over here. Those were my 2 actions. Now it's AGN's turn. All right, since I am a filthy pirate and I know that the other pirate is right over there, I think I'm going to try to intercept. So I'm going to move in that direction. All right. And move again. Okay. And that was my 2 moves. Okay. And now it's player 2's turn to go. Okay, so since player 2's ship is now adjacent to the AGN ship, the app presents for you with an option to attack that other ship. And click that little icon there, and I'm given the option if I want to attack. Now, if you were playing with multiple phones, what I would do if I wanted to attack the other player is I would touch the attack button that would be showing up on their phone. So let's go ahead and show you how an attack works. So for an attack, you're going to get to load up 3 items. The opponent, of course, will also get to choose 3 items. So I'm going to choose a cannonball to start. Now I would give this, to the other player. Now, as you can see, as the opponent, I can see what that player has played, what type. I can tell that it's a ranged attack. I don't know what kind. I don't know how strong it is, but I know that it is a ranged attack. Well, I'm going to hit back with a cannonball myself. All right. Give it to player 2. Player 2 can now see that AGN has used a ranged attack. I'm going to shoot another cannonball. All right. the AGN player, is going to use the grappling hook to board the other ship. And now, since you can see I'm being boarded, player 2 is being boarded at this point, I'm not able to use a cannonball because now we would have a melee. I would need a melee attack to stop him. So I basically am stuck, or player 2 is stuck and can't do anything else. So he's just going to have to hit X because there's nothing else. Didn't have a melee attack, should have gotten one. Now I can see player 2 did not bring anything or didn't have anything. I'm going to use my melee attack and hit play. And now the battle will begin. Now in a multiplayer game, this would take effect over the two phones. So it really is neat to watch. But as you can see, the cannonballs have hit. Now he shoots his chained cannonball. This is keeping track of your damage. Now there's a boarding that's taking place. All right. An ensuing fight is taking place. So all combat is handled by the app. Once the battle is over, it's going to take your captain's strength along with the strength of the combat that you did. It's going to add those up together to determine the winner. As you can see, it was 7-12. So player 2 loses 12 damage to the ship. And AGN is the winner, but still had damage to the ship. And then the plundering happens. So at that point, you will then lose points as well if you did not win the combat. Okay, still player's 2 turn, because attacking was just one of the actions that he could use. Now, remember, one of the things you can do is repair your ship at sea. Let me just say, if you need to watch the health of your ship. And the reason you need to watch the health of your ship is because if at any time your ship gets knocked out, meaning it loses all of its resistance, you will automatically fail any missions that were in progress. You also cannot start a combat with another player, and other players cannot attack you while you are at 0. I highly recommend that you do not let your ship get knocked out, because it is almost always an automatic loss, because you now have to go to port, get new missions, and kind of start over from scratch. You don't lose the victory points you had already gained, but it is quite a setback. So players will take turns going around the board, completing missions, fighting off monsters, attacking other ships, and trying to continue to build towards whatever the end game scoring is. In this case, we were doing a 400-point game. The first pirate to reach that will be declared the winner of the game. Okay, so that's World of Yoho. So, do I think the game is more gimmicky than Gusto? You like that? Well, for me, the answer is no. I really enjoy playing this game. I think the using the cell phone and the way that it matches up with the board and the sound effects that are in the app as well really makes this game a lot of fun to play. Now, I don't think the walkthrough really did it justice, because I had to use one phone to do it. And I know I've said it 1,000 times during the review, but this game really should be played with multiple phones. The ability to be able to pick up your phone while you're in between turns to review your missions and kind of gain your bearing on where you want to go next is really important, because the one thing about the game, especially if you're playing 4 players, is that there can be a lot of time in between turns, and because of that, it can get a little boring. Luckily, you can go back, pick up your phone at any time, review, what do you have on your ship, your missions and that. But still, there isn't a whole lot for you to do in between turns unless you are battling. Now, why is that? I think the main reason, and probably the biggest issue I have with the game, is that the board has all of these locations on them. All right, and when you get your mission and you're looking at it, here's what's going to happen. Just about every single time we play, this is what happens. You're looking, you're looking at your missions. You're looking at the list that you can choose, and you see these names of where you need to go. And you don't want anyone else to kind of know what your objectives are, so you're starting to peer at the board and peering, looking for this port or whatever it is, this location that you need to go to. I wish they would have done is on the missions, and Yellow, if you are listening, I'll send everybody out of the room so we can just talk. Yellow, would you please put the coordinates for the locations that you need to go to in the missions, just to add it to the app? All right, I'm going to bring everybody back in now. You see, what ends up happening is that you're looking for these places, and we just inevitably just give up and say, hey, do you guys see this place? That's where I need to go. And if you're upside down, looking at the board upside down, it's even harder. Sure, the more you play it, the more you get familiar with it, but it's still, the number of times that we've played it, there are still locations that we're like, where are they? And the weird thing is every once in a while, in a mission, it will give you the coordinates to a location, and I don't understand why they did it on certain missions and not all of them. However, with all that said, the game still really is fun to play, and I do think it works very well. I love the theme of the game, and I think the theme is tight in it as well. You have a lot of options when you go to port. The things you can build onto your ship, the weapons that you can take, the missions you can choose. There are a lot of things that you can do, and yet the game isn't complicated in any way. You get to decide how you want to play as well. Maybe you want to go after and attack ships or really focus on missions. It's up to you on how you want to play. And I believe there is a lot of replayability in the game as well because of the way that you can I can't believe I just said that. What I meant to say was outfit your ship. Sorry about that. The board is large, it's beautiful. When your ship is on there and seeing the surrounding islands and that show up on your phone, it just matches so well with the board. They did a really good job. The sound effects, the animations during the wars or during the battles, all of them are top notch. So for me, the game is a lot of fun. I certainly recommend it. I give this game an 8. If you've enjoyed this review, please press the like button below, subscribe to our channel, check out our other video reviews, and once again, I thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for visiting the Arch Gaming Network. For more great content, check us out at archgamingnetwork.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.